4,000 years ago, a game was invented by King Ravana of Lanka, the demon king of the Hindu epic, the Ramayana. He created this game to play with his lovely wife, Mandodari. However, she turned around and promptly defeated him at his own creation. Mandodari, well known for her even temper, beauty, and brilliant mind, has since been traditionally considered the mother of this now worldwide game. Although not named in the Ramayana, this game has crossed ages and spread continents to become one of the most popular board games in the world. The game is believed to have originated in India due to the many references in Indian literature to the then unnamed game. A poem written in Sanskrit called the Vasavadatta also mentions the game. The poem tells the story of a princess falling in love with a king and provides a description of a game with chessmen on a two-toned board. The text reads, "The time of the rains played its game with frogs for chessmen, which, yellow and green in color, as if mottled by lac, leapt up on the black field squares." However, the name of the game is not mentioned, but the description of the pieces is what is later identified as chaturanga. In this original game, 4 players sat on 4 sides of the board with 8 pieces each. They possessed 4 pawns, a horse, an elephant, and a chariot. The game was played by the roll of a dice to determine which piece could be moved. As the Persians adopted the game, the name changed to Shatrang. The game is again mentioned in the records of Ardashir, son of Papak. This text deals with Ardashir, founder of the Sassanid Empire, who died in 242 AD. Supposedly, he was quite skilled at the game, as the text reads, "By the help of Providence, Ardashir became more victorious and warlike than all, on the polo and the riding ground, at Shatrang, and Vine Artakshir, and in several other arts." This text was written around 600 in Pahlavi. As for game rules, the phrase Shah Mat developed, Persian for "the king is ambushed." Today, this has become the common checkmate. The game spread rapidly across Arabia with the growing Muslim empire after the death of Muhammad in 632 AD. The game, now called Shatranj, had gained importance, and many documents were created discussing the best players and celebrating their skills in the empire. About 850 AD, chess books explaining the game and strategies began to be written. Also by this point, the dice had been removed due to Muslim restrictions on gambling. The pieces were transformed into non-representational figures due to misgivings about representing humans. The Moors swept across Arabia in the 8th century, spreading the game to Spain and thus introducing it to Europe. The first reference to chess in Europe appears in 1010 AD in the Catalonian Testament. Charlemagne was given a chessboard by Muslim ruler Harun al-Rashid. The game reached Russia around the same time, and the names of the pieces in the early Russian game clearly reflect their Persian heritage. In China and Japan, the game came to exist early through interactions along the Silk Road, a vast trading route spanning between Europe, through the Middle East, all the way to China. Several scholars even argue that the game was invented by the Chinese. However, the etymology of the name chess is strictly Indian. Modern chess in China borrows from Indian chaturanga and from the traditional Chinese game of Go, and is played on the intersections of squares. In Japan, the popular game of shogi is derived from chaturanga and traditional Japanese games. However, back in Western Europe, much confusion over the names and styles of pieces ensued. Some pieces became archers in one country and standard bearers in another, with no real consensus. By the 12th century, the pieces had begun to be set into the roles of king, queen, knight, bishop, and infantryman, all roles typical for the aristocracy. The game was primarily a noble pastime, as shown from the exquisitely crafted and expensive boards and pieces of the time. The artistry was certainly no longer non-representational and had developed into elaborate mini-statues. Also during this time, the traditional colors developed from black and red to black and white. Chess was very much a part of popular noble culture. The game was valued for its intellectual aspect and became a part of court life. In fact, in Peter Alfonsi's Disciplina Clericalis, chess was listed as one of the 7 skills a knight should possess. Many of the kings of England, such as Henry I, were patrons of the game. It was mentioned in books, rule books, and even featured in art, as chess motifs appeared on tombs and pendants of the time. Queen Margaret of England had a famous green and red chess set counted among the royal treasures. Between 1475 and 1500 AD, some changes were made in the European game. The checkerboard was introduced into play and the rules for the piece's movements were changed. The queen was introduced as a female piece and became the most powerful piece in the game, cutting the playtime in half. The formerly weak bishop also developed unlimited moves. In the 18th century, François-André Danican Philidor of France wrote the first book dealing entirely with the strategies of chess, L'Analyse des échecs, the analysis of chess. In the 19th century, chess organizations and clubs began to appear, and the game achieved the moves and physical appearance that we now know. The first modern chess tournament was held in 1851. There then began many such tournaments, with the world champion being held in much prestige. Much of the history after this becomes a series of winners and prodigies, holding titles and winning tournaments. Often, we don't think about the origins of something that is internationally accepted as popular. But when we really delve deep into the past of something, such as chess, one of the most popular games today, a heritage can be discovered. From the supposedly uncivilized world of India developed a game that would cross continents and become a modern pastime for all to enjoy.